Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us remotely. Tonight is the March 23rd, 2020 City Council meeting. We have myself, Chairman Quagliani, in the chambers with Mayor Nancy Rossi, and our council dialing in remotely. We can first start out by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under God, indivisible,
All right, thank you all for that. Stacy, if you could please call the roll, and again, if I could remind the council people that when they acknowledge, please state who they are and what district, or if they're at large, they represent.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Here.
Garrett, again.
Sorry.
Colleen O'Connor.
Councilman at large. Councilman at large, Gary Donovan here.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor, Council at Large, here.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky.
Bridget Hosky, First District.
Councilman William Conlon.
William X. Conlon, 2nd District President.
Councilwoman Elizabeth Johnston. Councilman Mitchell Galignano.
Councilman Mitchell Galignano, 4th District President.
Councilwoman Robin Hamilton.
5th District, Councilwoman Robin Hamilton, President.
Councilman Peter Massaro.
Councilman Peter Massaro, 6th District President.
Councilwoman Trenae McGee.
Councilwoman Trenae McGee, 7th District, President.
Councilwoman Crystal Finelli.
Councilwoman Crystal Finelli, 8th District, President.
Councilman Robert Bruno.
Councilman Robert Bruno, 9th District President.
Councilman Barry Cohen.
Councilman Barry Lee Cohen, 10th District President.
And Chairman Ronald Quagliani.
Chairman Ron Quagliani, and I'm present as well. Thank you, Stacy.
Councilman Barry Lee Cohen, 10th.
We have a quorum. If I could ask everyone, again, unless they're going to have discussion, to keep your phones on mute. And then if in fact you need to vote or have discussion, unmute, ask to be recognized, and then you could have that particular discussion. That being said, I would ask before we start that Councilwoman Hamilton has an item that she would like to just bring forward, that I've allowed her to do so at this time. So Councilwoman Hamilton.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you, Chairman. I just want to remind people in these changing times, in these uncertain times, that we have a population that we must protect, and they're very vulnerable residents. They're the elderly, they're the disabled, mentally challenged, and even those who live alone who might be feeling a bit isolated. I identified a team of people at Vertical Church who have been vetted, that are eagerly wanting to reach out and connect to this population. They want to try to protect them from any kind of scams, make sure that they have the necessities that they have. So if you have any names, and I'm talking to the council people, I'm also talking to the public. If you have names and you've identified these people in your community, please text me, send me an email, call me up, just so we can have a list of people. And the sooner that we do this, the better, because we want there to be some kind of trust between the residents and the person that will be teamed up with them. Remember that we're all in this together, and we are our brother's keeper. So I want you all to stay safe and God bless. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hamilton. At this time, we'll enter into public comment. We have not received any public comment prior to this meeting, either by mail or by email. So again, I remind the public that if in fact they do want to comment on something, whether on the agenda or not on the agenda, regarding city business, they could email the council office, mdamassa@westhaven-ct.gov, with their email comments. Include your name and address, please, for the record. Or you could mail your comments to care of the City Council, 355 Main Street, West Haven, Connecticut 06516. That being said, our first order of business as we enter the regular council meeting is the approval of the minutes of March 9th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
Councilman Donovan, motion to approve.
Councilman Donovan, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second. Councilman Bruno approves.
Okay, I hear Councilman Bruno as a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. We enter into communications. I'd ask the clerk, Stacy Riccio, to read the communications for this evening, please.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have before us communication A from Corporation Counsel in regard to a fee waiver for a veteran being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. And we have before us communication B from CDA Manager Mark Vysefia in regards to unallocated prior year HUD funds being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. And we have before us communication C from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for the March 2020, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. And we also have before us communication D from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for March 2020, which will also be filed with tonight's minutes. And that concludes our communications tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. Just a point of information, we do have CDA Manager Mark Basakia available. If anybody has any questions, he could be on the phone and answer any questions. We'll enter into committee meetings. First committee is the Finance Committee, Councilwoman Hosky.
Hi, thank you, Chairman, so I'm winging this. Your Finance Committee meeting is 7:08. In attendance is myself, Bridget Hosky, acting as chair, Councilman Bruno, Massaro, Cohan, and Councilwoman Hamilton are also present. We have before us communication A, veteran waiver request for pet and walker fees, and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Councilman Thomas, motion to approve.
Thank you, Councilman Ham. Oh, can I have a second?
Second by Councilman Bruno.
Thank you, Councilman Massaro. Does anyone have discussion?
Rick, can I ask a quick question on that, please? It's Councilman Bruno.
Yes.
So my question would be, going forward, could we amend the city code to reflect the same as a statute code for waivers to veterans?
I would believe, and Chairman, correct me if I'm wrong, that is probably something we could discuss with for council.
Yes, that's correct.
So that is definitely something
Thank you,
we could look into.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Does anyone else have discussion? So can I take a vote to approve?
Councilman Cohen, motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Councilman Massaro, approve.
Motion to approve, Robert Hamilton. Any, those? Accept, motion passes. So we have before us communication B, the amendment. I'm sorry, Chairman, I don't know what to call this. I don't have, the city agenda for public hearing approval to amend the TY 45 annual action plan for CPA.
Sure, it'd be communication B from Community Development Administrator Mark Basaki in regards to unallocated prior year HUD funds.
Okay, 'cause I'm sorry, my packet has the email. I apologize. Does anybody take a motion to approve? Motion to approve.
Councilman Cohen,
Hamilton.
motion to approve.
Okay, thank you,
Councilman
Councilman
Bruno,
Hamilton.
motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second, Councilman Massaro.
Second, Bruno.
Does any, open it up for discussion? Any questions?
Councilman Cohen, request for discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, this over here is obviously at the $250,000, as we will all recall, is essential. This was something that was factored in as part of the overall cost to renovate the Allentown Green, pending a CDA grant of about $660,000 or thereabouts. And so I strongly endorse approving this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cohen. Anyone else like?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Councilman Bruno. I have one question, and that is regarding the flagpole.
Mark Basaki.
Go ahead, Mark.
Has
Just
the veteran
trying to.
concerns been- Ready to get ready?
Good. Yes, Councilman
Okay.
Bruno.
Thank you. Has the veterans' concerns been addressed out of respect for them for the placement of the flagpole?
It is my understanding, and I can have Councilwoman Hamilton correct me if I'm wrong. I do know that Ken Carney did meet with a few of the veterans that had concerns. They were going to do a site visit at some point in the future. I don't know that a time has been scheduled just due to what is going on. Robert, do you have an update? I'm not sure anything.
Sure. I know exactly the same thing that you're saying. I was told by Ken Carney that he is going to do a site walk with the concerned veterans in April. And I asked him also, is it that, nothing will be done before we talk with the veterans to make sure that everybody is kind of satisfied going forward. And he assured me that was the plan. And I think Mark Basaki is on the line too. He may have more information for us.
Okay.
Mark, do you have any additional information to share with us?
That is exactly the information that I also have, is that, yes, we will be meeting with Bill Benson, who would be representing the veterans prior to anything happening over there.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Bruno. Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
Councilman Massaro got something. May I?
Yes.
Also, there was an email in our emails there that Ken Carney put out about the whole situation. My question is this, and I'd like to make it to Mark, is I understand and I already seen they already started the project. I mean, were they supposed to start now on this project?
I am not aware of that they started it. I know they did open bids for it. That's something I can confirm tomorrow if I talk with Abdul. But my understanding is, as far as the flag or anything like that, that we would definitely be meeting with Bill Benson as to the location of that.
Well, to my knowledge, I mean, I live right there. They cut the trees down. They took the Christmas tree away already, and they took away all the other small trees. And I was just wondering, that has to be the specific.
Yeah, that as far as the trees, yes, that was in an email from the tree warden. The tree warden did post the trees for the required period of time, and he then gave the okay for the city engineer to take down the trees.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Ms. Bridget, can I ask Mark another question, please?
Of course, go ahead.
So, will $250,000 be the only commitment by the city for this project?
That is the only commitment as far as CDA goes. I am under the impression that the balance of the project would be funded by various grants other than CDA.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
Councilman Collins,
questions?
Councilman Collins, permission to speak?
Go ahead.
Yes, this original Allentown Green proposal was presented to the council, or was brought to the committee of the Public Works Committee on December 9th. And part of that, it is correct that there is a grant being requested in addition to this remaining the CDA money. So that is the whole project, which will come to about $970,000 for the entire project per the information that was provided, and also per, I know, my conversation with Ken Carney. So I believe, to answer that question, unless anything has changed, that is the funding for this project. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I'm good, thank you. Motion approved.
Second, Barry Collins.
Approve,
I'm
people.
sorry. Approve, Robert Hamilton.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Abstentions? Motion passes. Your Committee on Finance closes at 7:18.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky. Next up is unfinished business. We have none. We'll enter into committee reports. If I could ask the clerk to read communication C and D into the record.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have communication C from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refund for March 2020, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. And we also have communication D from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refund for March 2020, which will also be filed with tonight's minutes.
Thank you, Stacy. We'll go now back to the Finance Committee. Councilwoman Hosky. Councilwoman Hosky.
I'm on, I've been talking, but I'm on mute.
No worries.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm here. I'm sorry. To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of a fee waiver for a veteran, reports that the committee met on the 25th day of March 2020 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, that the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves and authorizes a fee waiver of the peddler hawker license fee for Raymond Antonio Rivera in concurrence with the state statute and his veteran status.
Councilwoman Hoskins brought forward communication A from Corporation Counsel in regards to a fee rate waiver for a veteran. That was read into the record. Is there a second?
Councilman Cohen.
By many. Stacy, take your pick. Is
I'm
there?
gonna say, Mazzaro, okay?
Well, you're the clerk.
Okay.
And any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of unallocated prior year HUD funds, reports that the committee met on the 23rd day of March 2020 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. The City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the amended Project Year 45 Annual Action Plan for CDA and reallocates the available sum of $250,000 to complete the Allentown Green renovation project.
Councilwoman
Motion
Hoskins.
to approve, Barry Cohen.
Hold on there, Councilman Cohen. Hang on.
Sorry.
That's all right. So Councilman Hoskins brought forward communication B from CDA manager Mark Basakia in regards to unallocated prior year HUD funds as was read into the record. Is there a second?
I will second that, Councilman Burrow.
Is there any discussion?
I got something to say, Councilman Massaro.
Go ahead, Councilman Massaro.
The only thing I'm worried about is this is going to be the way the picture and the printout, the whole project was brought to us. It's supposed to be very, very nice and very becoming at the gateway of West Haven. My main concern is I hope it's kept up better than the green that we have there now. Because it wasn't kept up properly. We always had a call, always had a problem there. I just hope that this new project is kept well, so it'll be an eye appealing to enter the city of West Haven. That's my main concern. They put a beautiful picture there and everything, how nice it's going to be. Well, it's nice on print, so let's keep it that way. And that's my only concern with that whole area. As we're trying to make it look good, and part of it is to make the University of New Haven look good, as we all know. And the state did the intersection there, and it looks like the University of New Haven is upkeeping that area, which looks very, very nice. And I hope the same thing happens with our green. That's all. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Councilman Massaro. Is there any other discussion?
Councilman Donovan would like to be recognized.
Councilman Donovan, go right ahead.
Yeah, it's more of a statement from Mark. Mark, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Mark, first of all, again, I'd like to thank you for bringing this up about the unallocated money and using it for the green. Thought that was very helpful and definitely for this 100%. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. Is there any other discussion? I do have discussion, and Mark, it's for you. I know that when the project came in front of us in December, and I think maybe once after that, we were told explicitly that before the project moves forward, that the council would be approving the project. So now I know that when you submit your budget to us, I would imagine that this project will be in the budget. Is that correct?
That is not correct. because what we're doing is we're amending this year's budget and using unallocated funds from previous years to amend this year's budget. When I go before you for the budget starting in July of 20 going to June of 21, this project, you'll see it listed, but the funding will be zero because we're funding it in this year.
So that was a change then. We originally were going to fund it in next year's, but you found monies that weren't being utilized, and now we're funding it with this year?
Correct.
Got it. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Councilwoman O'Connor abstains.
One abstention, Councilwoman O'Connor. Motion carries. Adoption of ordinances previously presented. There are none. Are there any council liaison reports?
I did hear from Colleen Daly from the library. We have picked a group to go forward with this study. We're going to submit the proposal, write to them, and then hopefully when all this is over, we'll be able to start doing all the research that we need.
Thank you, Councilwoman O'Connor. Any other council liaison reports? Hearing none, is there any new business?
Mr. Chairman, I have some new business. Councilman Galagnano.
Go ahead, Councilman Galagnano.
So, I have to ask, because I'm not privy, I don't remember, but I was looking at the Munis report that Ray had sent out last week, and I see a lot of minuses in there. And I was wondering if I gave you all the ones I found, could we find out why they're in minus, and are they going to do a transfer to make these accounts back to zero? How would I go about that?
So, I mean, I'll give the mayor an opportunity to respond, and then I'll also give Finance Chair Hosky an opportunity if she's going to hold a budget meeting soon regarding this year's budget. But Mayor, do you want to speak to it?
Yeah, any transfers, if they don't have money within their budget, you have to wait until April the 1st. So I'm sure Frank plans on cleaning it up after April the 1st. I mean, it's pretty close now because you can only take money from other budgets for the last quarter of the year, which is April, May, and June.
So, couldn't it, so to take money from other budgets, you have to do it after April 1st, but from within that budget, could you move money around?
You can move money around, but the way it's supposed to work is the department head, or whatever, I don't know which specific department or department you're talking about, but the department head is supposed to bring forward a transfer to the finance director to have it approved, then it's supposed to come through me. And I only signed one recently, and there wasn't a bunch of them, but I'm sure now that the budget has been released and all the work in finance that was going on, I'm sure they're going to take care of it. But unfortunately, these transfers still aren't coming through the way they should be, because if they can take care of it in their own budget, and I don't know that because without looking or getting specifics, just because they have money in other line items doesn't mean that it's not gonna, it may be used in that line item. So without like specifically talking about a certain, I don't know what department, but that would be, you'd have to speak with the department head. So as I said, now that the budget is done and released, we want the transfers done.
So just for, one of the things I found was building maintenance, and that line item is over $45,000 to year to date. So and I just, that's what stuck out in my mind when I looked at this report, so, I didn't know what I had to do here, just like I was looking also at Highways and Parks Administration, and snow removal was budgeted for $115,000. They only spent $9.72, but overtime was budgeted for $200,000, and they spent $202,000.
Once again, without speaking to the department head, it would actually be advantageous on everyone's part. If there are questions, if you send the questions to me ahead of time, like once you have a question, I'd be more than happy to do my best to get an answer before the council meeting. But as you know, we're sitting here and it's only 3 of us now, and there's no department heads, no department heads are here. So, I don't know.
Well, shame on me, because I didn't look at the report till tonight, Mayor, so, you know, I otherwise I would have forwarded these questions ahead of time, but I just, shame on me, but I looked at it tonight, and it, like I said, there was probably, so that's what brought the attention to myself when I was talking to another council person. I opened this up and said, wow, there's a lot of negatives in here, and then I guess it makes sense that you can't do nothing until after the 1st of April if they don't have enough money in that particular department.
Right, and again, the department had a lot of times, when you said the questions to me, the first thing I would do, or you can even CC the department head on it and Frank. So say for instance, we'll stick with Public Works. You would send the questions to Tom McCarthy, CC Frank and myself. And that way then we could get answers ahead of time and, you know, find out what's going on. There may be a valid reason, but I don't know every single line item in the budget. It ran over what the reasons are. So once again, if you get it to us ahead of time, we'd be more than happy to look into it.
And I will do that. Shame on me again. Like I said, I looked at it tonight and that's what I saw, so that's why I thought I'd bring it out.
You all set, Councilman Gallignano?
Thank you. Yeah, I guess, I could send them questions, I guess, Mr. Chairman, so I just wanted to check on that. I'll send my questions specifically then.
Very good.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Hosky, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I mean, I did speak with the mayor about a week ago saying that I did want to bring some of the department heads before all of this, you know, virtual calling in conference meetings to our next meeting to ask questions about their budgets, because I have noticed that some line items, several of what you've already mentioned, Councilman Guardiani, Councilman Gagliano, that they were running over their budget. So I did want to speak to the department heads because I think it's really important that we end the year and talk to them, no differently than when we talk to them at the beginning where they're asking us for money. I think it's important that they be able to answer. I think it's important that we get some the ability to ask them questions about how they're ending the year and how they manage their budget prior to going into the upcoming year. So, you know, you can definitely send those emails, but I did still want to. I discussed with Chairman Quagliani and the mayor about inviting Public Works. I think that you said also, I forgot the other line item, but there were quite a few that were running over their budgets or certain line items that I think that we need to inquire about. You know, and the OT is concerning. So I still wanted to do that. So if there are department heads or that people would like to talk to, then, you know, please let me know, and we will try to have them dial in, you know, possibly at our next meeting. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky. Mayor?
I just want to add one thing also, and I know with Public Works, the roof on Bailey, because it was never budgeted for in the past, we've now taken care of that, but that money was taken out of one of his line items. So thinking back on it, that's one. I don't know if it was any of the ones that we discussed, but I would imagine if it was 60-something thousand dollars that wasn't planned for. So that's what I'm saying, and that's why if we get like the information ahead of time, and I have no problem, absolutely, they should come forward. But it makes it a lot easier if we have an idea of what we're asking, so we have, you know, all the right people and all the right, as much information before it gets to the meeting, so that you get accurate information.
So we'll see if we can put it on, you know, we'll put it on the next council meeting agenda to have some invited department heads to come to that meeting. Is there any other new business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Councilman Bruno, 9th District, I would like to bring forward the police department payroll. My question is the police department's payroll up to date along with the overtime?
Mayor, do you?
Well, first off, everyone got paid as they were supposed to. Just so that you know, the payroll issue wasn't only the police department. It was basically everyone except for Board of Education. Board of Education was paid every 2 weeks. The week that there was the problem was the week that Board of Education skipped because they get paid every 2 weeks. So it wasn't only the police department, but as of right now, the payroll went in correctly on Friday. So hopefully the issue has been taken care of.
So that was a one-time issue with
Yes.
the payroll. So, best of your knowledge, all of the employee payrolls are getting paid as they typically would, right?
Right, now going forward, depending on how this pans out, I mean, right now, we're doing our absolute best to get as much services that we can to everyone, including payroll. But again, as this all rolls out, right now, we were one of the first, no, we were definitely the first one that closed City Hall to the public. And so far it's been working out well, but there are, you know, it's not as easy as when you're open to the public and everything is flowing. So again, we're looking at, you know, different options going forward to try to keep everyone safe. And so again, right now though, last Friday, the payroll did go in on time. And so far I've only received, because what my offer was when I talked to the union president, and I put it out for everyone, was that if anyone incurred any fees because of that, the city would reimburse them because it was no fault of theirs. And so far, we have only received one request. So again, though, they have to send some sort of paperwork, which this person did do.
You all set, Councilman Bruno?
Okay. Yes, I guess at this time, I gather it's all current then, to write the data.
Yes, they got paid on Friday, so this coming Friday will be another payroll.
Okay, thank you very much. Nothing else.
Thank you. Is there any other new business?
Yeah, it's Councilman Massaro.
Councilman Massaro, go ahead.
Getting back to the payroll, we just got an email from Frank saying there's going to be a problem with paying overtime. Is that because of a new system or a new way of paying people? I just don't understand the email saying that there might be problems. There hasn't been problems before, but now all of a sudden there's problems of paying overtime that we'd be paying the people the basic pay. My question is there a problem with the system, or is there a problem that we are definitely closing City Hall?
No, neither answer you gave is correct. We are trying to be proactive, so what they came up with was they're going to do payroll in advance for the base salaries and hold it in the queue. Everybody's not getting it until the time expires. However, overtime is a different thing because everybody works differently. So anyone that incurs overtime, we're going to do our best to pay it with that, like cut 2 checks, if you will. But what we're trying to do is stay ahead of the situation, the current situation with this virus, because if people get sick and something happens and no one knows from minute to minute, day to day, if someone gets sick here and now payroll can't be done at all, we didn't want that option. So we're trying to be very, very proactive to make sure money goes to everyone, they work, they get paid. The overtime is the only wild card because it doesn't stay the same every week. It won't be for all unions because 1103, most of the time they get comp time. Sometimes I believe there's some overtime involved. So, and obviously any of the elected officials, commissioners, they don't get overtime. So it's 681 WPCA, Police Department obviously, and Allentown Fire. So that's the reason for it. It's not that there's any new system or that we have an anticipated date of closing, because if we did, people would have known that by now. We're taking it day by day, hoping for the best. Everybody's coming in, doing their work, and we're hoping to come back the next day, and that we just continue on.
Okay, now I got one more question, may I ask?
Go ahead, Councilman.
I understand that the MARV wants time clocks in the fire service. There's no such thing. I mean, they could speak to every fire department in the country, and nobody has a time clock unless you're administration. And these people will come up with these ideas. Do they ever study their ideas at all? Do they ever look into it? I mean, it's getting disgusting, some of the stuff they're coming up. They're being like dictators, and I'm tired of it. To have the fire department punch in, as you know, they have different hours, they swap, which is allowed by law. And there's labor laws for people that work in the fire service and the municipalities, some different than regular labor laws. And, I mean, do they do any researches at all before they come out with these ideas?
Well, first off, I wasn't in on the meeting when anybody ordered time clocks, so I don't know if it was a different meeting or, because I go to all of the meetings. I will say one thing, the accounting for the payroll is, in some departments, not up to speed. It's either done in papers. We had one department that, yeah, they were swapping, but it was kind of like, if I'm supposed to work and I don't want to work, you work for me, but we don't change anything, and I kind of reimburse you, or however they were doing, which is a violation of the law. So we are going to, we've already put out, they're selecting a vendor shortly for an outside company to do payroll. So we're going to have better accountability. How they get there, I'm not sure yet. Is it going to be a time clock for the firefighters? I haven't been at any meetings anybody said about putting a time clock on. What they did say is there will be tightened controls and things will be done by the letter of the law, and people will be getting paid that way. And that's the way it should be. There should be no people swapping and taking other people's shifts and getting paid for it either by someone else or however they were swapping money. That cannot go on any longer.
Well, that's against the law in the fire service, including in the contract, so that will not include them as far as I'm concerned because of their contract, and it's in the union of a citywide union, which is a one union. So the swapping is in their contract, and nobody gets paid. That's against the law as far as labor laws are. There was one fire department that did do it. They got caught. They got themselves in big trouble. So I mean, it's been going on since the day I walked in the door, and we never had a problem with it before. And nobody pays nobody off as far as that goes. That's all I have to comment on. Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Can I just add one thing to that? I don't know what department it is, but I thought everybody did get a copy of the study. Somebody was doing it, and it could have been ERS, and not necessarily the fire department, but they clearly were swapping. I'm not against swapping. You know, if something's in the contract that you can swap shifts, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the idea of somebody working someone else's shift and no one knows about it. And when they did the investigation and the study into that, what ended up happening was that's how they discovered this, and that does have to be corrected.
I agree.
Is there any other, thank you, Councilman Massaro. Is there any other new business?
Councilman Donovan, like we recommend.
Councilman Donovan, go ahead.
Yeah, I discussed this with the mayor. I talked to her about it already. I'd like to have someone from the economic development director is one of them to show up maybe quarterly and just give us updates as to the progress of what's happening in our city and what they're doing to entice businesses in.
Just a point of clarification, are you talking about the paid staff or somebody from the commission?
Somebody, either or, whoever can give us information on the development.
All right, so noted. I would imagine we will probably start that next quarter.
Correct,
Got it.
if possible.
If I may, Fred Masori was just here recently, so that would be who would come and give an update. So I see no problem once a quarter. I think that's a great idea. But,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Donovan. Is there any other new business? The only thing I want to add, just for point of clarification, Mayor, so right now, and again, it could change tomorrow, but right now, today, the city workers may get 2 checks, one for base pay and one for overtime, but if something should happen that precludes staff from working from here or working on a modified schedule, then that's where those base checks come in and then the catch-up of the overtime would take place.
correct.
Okay. Is there any other new business? For a second time, any other new business? Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn, Pete Massaro.
Thank you. Second? All right.
I'll second it, Robert Bruno.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.
Has left the meeting.
Be safe, everybody.
You too.
That's positive.